This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 317.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology. Why, hello everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. Yes, we actually have some upcoming events. Very excited. First and foremost, we have WordSesh, the Asia Pacific version of WordSesh this year, brought to you by WP Sessions. It is March 23rd and 24th. That is the day of this recording being released, the 23rd, this episode, and the next day, Tuesday as well. So if you're listening to this on the day it came out, or the day after, you can still go and sign up for that. It's over at wordsesh.com and sign up, and it's all online. It looks like it's free, so there you go. If you've listened to it late, I'm sorry that you missed it. So anyway, there's that. And also, WordCamp San Antonio in Texas is a go because it's free and it's online. I guess it's because it's online, and it's also a bonus that it's free. March 20th to 29th. They converted theirs right away to an online format, and I'm going to sign up for that, and I'll be there. I'm going to try to pop in there and check it out. So hope to see you there as well. So those are the upcoming events. Very excited. So some normalcy, I guess, and we'll get to more about that in the meat potatoes as well. So segment one in the news, a couple things to talk about here. GitHub acquires NPM. And NPM is a service that it's a popular JavaScript package service. And if you remember a few months back, maybe, I don't know if it's been a year, but GitHub was acquired by Microsoft last year. So they plan to improve the infrastructure and the experience, etc. So NPM was acquired by GitHub. Also, Gutenberg 7.7 shipped. It's the first version of the plugin to ship in the editor with full screen mode out of the box. So some people aren't happy about that. Some people are. I'm indifferent at the moment. So this change will land in WordPress 5.4, which is now also due at the end of the month still. And there's more coming out with that. And leads me right to WordPress 5.4. Release Candidate 3 was released. When was that? That was on the 17th of March. We are still expecting to see the full release on March 31st. So we are very close to that, obviously. This episode comes out the 23rd. 7 days later, 8 days later, it will be the 31st. And there you have it. So we should have WordPress 5.4 at the end of the month, about 8-9 days. Okay, so is that, one more thing here. My friend Tara Clays created a site based on what's going on in the world right now with COVID and Corona. It's called covidmemorials.org. It is in development. If anyone's interested in helping with it, you can reach out to her directly. If you need an introduction, by all means, let me know. It's a site to share memorials of people who unfortunately have passed away due to COVID-19. Especially if they don't have family, if they're somehow alone, and that's the point of why Tara created this, and I think it's amazing. So I give her hats off to that. And by all means, like I said, if you want to help, please let me know, and I can connect the two of you. So covidmemorials.org. Pretty amazing days these days. All right, moving on to segment 2, meat potatoes. But before that, I want to say thanks to this week's sponsor, who is Wicked Folders Pro. So if you are looking for a better way to organize your media library, well, Wicked Folders Pro is the answer. I'm going to tell you the truth here. It is super easy to install, and it's going to change your life when it comes to your media library. Once it's installed, you head over to your media library, and you'll see some new areas there on the left-hand side. Dynamic folders, unassigned items, and all folders. And let me tell you about it real quick. The dynamic folders are the ones that are created automatically. They're broken out by author, who did the upload, by WordPress as well, by the year and month, and by extension type. The unassigned area are just that, unassigned images or elements that might just be in that database as well. And then the all would be the folders that you get to create. And this is the amazing part. That's right. You get to create a folder to organize things. So I did that. In testing this for this podcast as well, for this episode, I created a folder called Sponsors. And I can then drag and drop images of past sponsors into that folder. Literally drag and drop. It's wicked cool. I'm serious. I was super excited I could do this. In some further testing, You can also assign images and items to the media library as you upload them as well, not just after the fact, but as you upload, you can say, hey, I want this to go into this folder specifically. And as a quick thought, another use I see for myself is for companies that have headshots for staff or a directory. It'd be much easier to put those in a folder to find them later. Logos for the website as well. There's so many potential purposes here. I think it's amazing. So if you're ready to take your media library organization to the next level, check out Wicked Folders Pro. It's like $49, super affordable. And for listeners of this podcast, you get to use the code ADAM, A-D-A-M, and you'll get 10% off your purchase. Again, thank you so much to Wicked Folders Pro for sponsoring this week's episode. And they are just awesome. I'm just so in love with this plugin. I really am. It's very cool. So check it out. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. So, okay, moving on to segment 2, the meat and potato of this week's episode. Things to do for your business during this strange time, aka quarantine, COVID-19. So as you know, last week I talked about, how to work from home, my tips and tools, my tips on working from home. So as we are still in that state of weird, I want to talk a little bit more about what we as business owners can do, or maybe even, quote, should do to keep some sense of normalcy for ourselves and our clients. So first of all, I have 6 of them, 6 things here I want to share with you. First, number 1, reach out to your clients. Let them know that you're still around, that you're available, that you're still working, assuming that you are still working and you're not caring for somebody who is under the weather or yourself. But if you can, reach out to them. There's fear about them cutting out their maintenance plan might come to your mind. Like, if I reach out and they say, they want to cut maintenance. Well, that is a concern, but it's a concern for me too. But perhaps maybe you can see it on their point of view and help them to help their customers, offer to update their website with a, hey, we're still around, kind of thing. And offer some added values and services. But reach out to your clients, make that connection there, because business will go on. You just need to be proactive in it as well. Don't be afraid, okay? Second thing, review your own expenses. Now, this is a time possibly to cut some things that you may not need at the moment. Maybe try a new version of a service. There are 2-week trials, 30-day trials. There are tons of deals out there, especially in the WordPress space right now for discounts. I'm probably going to switch my quoting software from what I'm using now to something new. It's about the same price, but now's the time to do it because I'm not doing a ton of quoting at the moment. And, so actually next month. So, there are certain expenses that I have, not that many. As I've mentioned in the past, like what it costs me to run the day-to-day business, keep a pretty lean and tight ship here, but it's something to consider. So there's that. So review your expenses and cut appropriately, but don't go crazy because, people still need to make a living. So there's that as well. Number 3, take a course. So you've probably paid for 1 or 2 or 3 courses already in the past year, sitting there online somewhere in some, website that you can access, but you haven't done it yet. Or you started the course and you got distracted with something else. Well, you might have some time now. So dive in, okay? Take that course, learn something new. I'm going to. I have a whole bunch of courses that I have. Keyboard Maestro being one of them from David Sparks. I really want to get more into Keyboard Maestro. Number 4, create a course. That's right. You've probably also outlined 1 or 2 already. Sitting in a mind map, just waiting for you to finish it up. Maybe you started it, maybe you didn't. Dive in, get it done, work on it. Okay. And I am guilty of that as well, as you all know if you've listened to this show long enough. I've have intention on creating courses, and those deep dive videos, it's my time. So there's that. Number 5, this is a good one for you, for me as well. Update your own site. Evaluate it. Make sure you can be found. Make sure it looks good. Check the UI and the UX on it. Make sure it's accessible. Possibly do a rebrand, even a light rebrand. And I'm early in that process, which I'll be sharing in a few weeks or months from now, because there's a slight pivot once again with my agency side of things in my life. So, maybe it's time to look at those things from a 30,000 foot view down to the 5,000 foot view, down to the actual 1 foot view of doing it, right? Put things in place. You have the time now to do that as well. Lastly, make sure your site is fast. Maybe change your host or upgrade your hosting. If you don't want to move your site, maybe it's just time to upgrade from shared to VPS or dedicated, whatever it may be. So there's those things as well. And the 6th thing I want to mention is join many of the virtual Zoom hangouts that are going on. In the WordPress space, we're very lucky that we have a great community. Depending on what community you're in, I'm sure there's got to be a way to stay connected over the ether. We have happy hours, people drinking some whiskey, some people doing WP karaoke. It really soothes my soul to see that and be a part of that as well. I jumped in on a Zoom hangout a couple nights ago. They were doing karaoke, and one of the people I know, her and her daughter were singing. It just brought tears to my eyes. I was so happy to see them and just happy to see the people I knew. So pretty cool. So again, there are things to do. Don't be overly stressed. Also, lastly, cut back on your news a little bit. So there's that, number 7. So, all right, just, days will go on, and it just takes a little time to get used to this new normal for the moment. This too shall pass, I keep telling myself. All right, moving on, segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week is a podcast I want to mention, and a specific episode based on this topic as well. It's from the New York Times. It's The Daily. It's a New York Times daily podcast. This one's it's the daily special episode called Alone Together. It came out on March 20th. There's a link in the show notes. It's about 7 minutes long. I highly recommend you listen to it. It's really good. So check that out. All right, let me wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon over at the website as well. There's a form to be a sponsor, just like, Wicked Folders Pro, they sponsored. You can sponsor too. Just reach out. So thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. See you next week. Bye-bye.